Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. What a wonderful day and a day of great learning. And I'm happy to share to the participant, we have over 1,175 registration for this important topic. So while we are in practice session, I was asking both the speaker, what is the reason for such an overwhelming registration? So they said, short circuit and fire due to electrical is common for every segment, whether it is hotel or a hospital or a commercial or residential. So everybody is quite keen to know how do we enhance the safety measure of the electrical circuit. So that is why probably we have overwhelming response for the webinar. I think we must have a series of webinar on series 1, series 2, and we can talk about various standard that is applicable, and we can also talk about various segment. It could be hospital, it could be it could be a residential apartment. How do we take care? Because without power we can't survive, so everybody lives with the power. So in one way it's good, another way if you ignorant, there are dangers. So today this program actually is an initiative of Cape Electric, one of the well-known electrical company based out of Chennai, and Mr. Gopakumar is the director of Cape Electrical, which was established in 1996. Cape are the first and front runner in various technological product in India, be it lighting protection or electrical insulation materials. The reactive power compensation panel marked its quality during the initial year of establishment of the company in difficult environment conditions inside wind turbine tower, working at high temperature, very high harmonic distortions and frequent change in reactive power demand. In 2002, DC combiner solutions were unknown. Cape delivered the first outdoor DC panel for solar PV industry. Cape Electrical seminar and webinars on lighting protection not only help industries in solving failure related to lightning, surges and earthing, but gave an in-depth knowledge about international standards. Providing solution is the motto, and hence the technical team in Cape Electric are continuously trained and provide end-to-end solution from design to implementation. Ladies and gentlemen, today we have a great speaker. Both are most humble and simple speaker. If you look at their profile, say, they work more, they talk less. So Santosh Warik is a regular speaker in our knowledge series, be it FSA, be it FSIF, be it our own, Blue and Gray is this thing. And he always come forward to participate and give his experience and knowledge to across India. He is the director of Maharashtra Fire Services and advisor to MIDC. He got over 29. I've been reading since last year. He must be now more 32 now, I would say. He got more than 30-year experience in the field of fire prevention and protection. Science graduate, an engineer, and MBA and advocate. So what a combination, science graduate, a fire engineer, and a lawyer. I think after his retirement, he will take up that initiative to sue people who doesn't follow the fire norms in a building. So experts in firefighting in various occupancies and implementation of fire preventions and life safety measures as per the National Building Code of India. And also he was the author of the Maharashtra Fire Act. He was one of the pillars. That was the first state to have a local act in the country. And he has contributed immensely for it. He has successfully handled various industrial projects, specialized townships, SEZ and IT parks in Maharashtra. Our second speaker is Mr. Gopakumar, expert in electrical engineering and director of Cape Electrical. He is also a member of various working groups of Indian International Technical Commissions. IEC is known as IEC, and the Technical coordinator of Lighting Awareness and Research Center, LARC Trivandrum, and is also part of electric installation of National Building Code of India. Having more than 27 years of experience in electrical safety, lightning protection, EMI, EMC of electrical installation, he has conducted more than 100 site studies on failure in electronic equipment and presented paper more than 1,000 seminars and training programs. He also published articles about safety in various magazines and published his own book called The Missing Link. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are all blessed today to have such a distinguished speaker. Today, I welcome our Santosh Warik to give a keynote address to the audience.
Thank you very much, Dominic. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today, we are discussing very crucial issue of electrical short circuit and electrical safety as a whole. As we come across number of incidents across India about the fire incidences, and majority cause of fire incidents are electrical short circuit. The electrical short circuit does not happen immediately, or it is not a immediate incident. It is a chain of reaction due to the long negligence of the electrical equipment's wiring and various aspects of safety. So as any building required electrical supply for its smooth working, and there are number of services required for the building to efficient working. And for that, electricity is very crucial, and it is a backbone of all services. That may be your fire system, that may be your air conditioning, that may be your lifts and other important services used in that particular building, depending upon the occupancy of the building. But the normal observation related to electrical safety is the builder, developer, or the owner occupier. He goes for the minimum safety requirements or minimum requirement as per the codal or standard requirement for the loads and wiring capacities. So in due course of time, when the building gets erected, maybe residential one, I will give you example of residential ones. When the builder plan for the building 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, it goes for the air conditioning requirement or air conditioning load for only bedrooms. And when owner occupier, he purchases that particular property, he puts air condition units in the hall itself again. Then there are number of gadgets coming up in the kitchen areas. So the load, what is planned at the time of planning, is totally different, and now the actual load at the ground level is totally different. So definitely it there will be burden on the backbone infrastructure, maybe the transformer size, maybe the panel rooms or the electrical wires, what gauge you have to finalize for that. So these are the series of requirements which plan at the initial stage and actual at the use end, it is totally different. So that may lead to overheating or the electrical short circuit due to the failure of conductors. These are the chain reactions which normally happens. And the periodical inspection and testing of these all gadgets and the wiring is not happening pan-India. Though it is recommended, but practically every year it is not happening in the crucial industries or maybe the hospitals or the hotels, or even in the residential, it means I have not observed it is frequently happening. So that leads to such kind of a disaster. So periodical inspection and testing of various gadgets and checking of wiring is required. There are simple gadgets available in the market, and there are agencies also available in the market who can do this regularly. But in our Indian scenario, the chalta attitude is so strong that we neglect. Jab hoga to dekha jayega. So such kind of a approach leads to the disaster. And when disaster happens, then it becomes very difficult to control that. Second aspect is loose wiring, which is happening due to the false ceiling and the interiors done in the residential ones or even in offices. The connections or the tappings taken from the main source, they are not done properly insulated, and after a few days or few months, they give up, and the cause of spark or the overheating may lead to the fire in surrounding material. So these are the normal aspects or normal reasons we see. Unfortunately, the fire services in India are not equipped with the means investigation of fire. We do not have any support from the actual forensic ones. So investigation of fire is a very neglected subject in India. And normally the factory inspectorate attached to the every state government, they carry out some investigation of fire occurring in industrial areas. But as far as the normal business buildings or any other buildings are concerned, each fire is not been critically examined for the causes. And electricity short circuit is the simple example for the reasoning for that. And unfortunately, it is blamed. And there are so many other reasons, but for the insurance purpose, it is from the damages point of view, and fire services normally recommend that the cause of fire is electrical short circuit. But today, I think today's means webinar will give you the more inputs. What are the other reasons from where the failure of electrical short circuit can happen, and it can lead to the disaster. So I think Mr. Gopakumar is a perfect person who is having huge experience in this, and he has conducted so many webinars since the lockdown. And I wish this webinar very all the best, and it will be very fruitful for each and everyone to listen to Mr. Gopakumar's input related to electrical safety and specifically the electrical short circuit. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. It's great to hear. Is it chalta hai attitude, or is it ignorance, or is nothing going to happen because I pray to God every day? So is this the cause for the electrical short circuit, or is it the poor maintenance of electrical? So let's hear from Gopakumar. With so much of experience, he has done so many studies about the short circuit fire incident across the country. Let's hear from Gopakumar. Over to you, sir.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Dominic. Thank you very much for the introduction. And thank you very much, Santosh Warik sir, for the nice introduction. So today again, I have a big responsibility to, to introduce what exactly we need to do to enhance the safety measure. So enhancing the safety measure is very, very important. Enhancing in the sense, so currently what we are doing, are they meeting the requirements of safety, or what kind of things enhance or what kind of enhancements are required for making safe buildings is the subject. So without a big introduction, let me start. My name is Gopakumar. I am the member in the IEC TC64, which is making the standard IEC 60364, which is the global standard for electrical safety in low voltage installation. Worldwide, be it America, Britain, Germany, or any of the European nations, or Asian countries, developed nations, everywhere this particular standard called as 60364 is the basis for electrical safety against protection from shock and protection from fire. In UK, the same standard is called as BS 7671. In America, this is called as NFPA 70, or some people call it as NEC of America. And we have the equivalent, the IS 732. So with this background, I start. Whatever I'm making, I used to make a lot of technical classes, because this is not the subject is actually, we have to go deep into the technicalities of the standard, then only you will be able to understand. But today I will try to cover a little bit about what we need to do to enhance the safety. A short introduction about my company. We are into several business activities with respect to electrical safety. We are doing a lot of trainings and especially on the most modern electrical safety measures. With respect to product business, we are into lightning protection and the electrical enclosures, EMI, EMC, and so on. We are a 25 years old company. This year, February, we are actually completing 25 years. We started in a humble way in Kanyakumari, which was the other name Cape Comorin. That is why the name Cape came. Now we have got two manufacturing locations, one in Chennai and one near to Kanyakumari, and we manufacture a lot of electrical products. So with this, let's look at where do we stand with respect to electrical safety. I'm just showing you some of the paper cuttings, newspaper cuttings. 5 dead in Serum Institute fire. This happened last year during a very critical time, but luckily, 5 people died, but nothing happened to the Covishield production. The second news, short circuit has caused 80% of Mumbai fire. Some people, electrical engineers, say that this is wrong. Electricity cannot create fire, but truly speaking, most of the fire accidents are due to electrical reason. Imagine you have a hospital, you have a ICU, and suddenly fire starts from some of the equipment. Or imagine you have a house which is closed, which is completely locked. From where fire starts? It is the only, the electricity is the reason. In a residence, imagine people are sleeping, nobody is working, and under that condition, if the air conditioner starts the fire, of course, electricity is the reason. So majority of the cases, electricity is the reason for fire accidents. In 2016, a Japanese delegation by Mr. Takashi Honda, he made a presentation in the National Workshop on Electrical Safety, organized by the Central Electricity Authority in Delhi. So he made this report. According to his presentation, in India, approximately 723 people, this is the maximum, 723 people out of 100 million population per year gets electrocuted. In comparison, Japan is just 12. Let's say in UK, it's just 45. Whereas in our case, these are actually, these figures are really multiples, so much multiples in comparison to all the other nations. This is with respect to the electrocution, not from the fire or not from the fire due to short circuit. Now they also made a kind of a survey asking several questions to the electricity users, and then they put the marks, safety scores for each of the question. And finally, the safety score which we got is 16% out of the G20 nations, probably one of the least electrical awareness, the country with the least electrical awareness. What does it mean is, most of the electrical safety points which we think that we are aware is really wrong. So I'm just trying to explain you some of the points which we need to take care while doing the electrical installation. First of all, as usual, I start with the standard, international standard, the ISO, IEC, ITU. IEC has got beautiful standards to handle most of the electrical, the accidents. But if we look at what percentage of the safety standards are implemented in India, let us say IEC had told 100 points. How many these points are implemented in India with respect to safety? I would say not even 10. This is from my practical experience during the last few years. Most of the days, even during COVID, I was visiting sites, hospitals, and places where electrical accidents are happening. And so the situation is very clear for me. When it comes to India, the first point with respect to the rule, the first point is the regulation, which is called as the Central Electricity Authority Measures Relating to Safety and Electric Supply 2010, which is actually adopted from the IE rule, or IE rule is no more valid, which basically has come from the 1937 electricity rule made by the British. Even today, a lot of electrical, the regulations are from the 1937 rule, but nothing wrong on it. All these are in a good way. But one point which all of us should understand is the regulations are mainly concentrating up to the point of commencement of supply. What do we mean by point of commencement of supply? It means the place where the responsibility of the electricity supply company is the one which is made more into the regulation. Most of the regulations are related to electricity supply company. Now, those regulations, if we try to implement into our house, you will be in trouble. We are not supposed to follow those regulations made for the electricity supply company. Don't try to apply it inside the house, then because we will go into wrong. Regulation 12.2 says for the purposes, for all other purposes, we are supposed to follow the code of practices made by the Bureau of Indian Standards or NEC. NEC means the National Electrical Code of India, not the NEC of America. So basically, within the building, we are supposed to follow the code of practices or the National Electrical Code, and outside the point up to the meter board, let me say. Easy way is up to the meter board from the transformer. That is the responsibility of the electricity supply company. Here, once when it comes practically, what we do is the first and the foremost mistake is I always laugh at this: 2 for neutral, 2 for body. Earthing, transformer, 2 body, 2 neutral. DG, 2 body, 2 neutral. This is one of the biggest mistake which we make in India. As a result, MCBs won't trip, then finally end up with trouble. Trouble in the sense fire or electrocution, because of this misinterpretation, which is common across India. Now, I'm just showing you some of the regulation. Anyway, I don't want to read the entire regulation. If we look at the regulation starting from 12, the chapter is general safety requirements. Here, regulation 14, 15, 16 are related to the electrical supply company. Why I am explaining this regulation 14, 15, 16 is a lot of fire accidents are happening in shops and small establishments. The small shops, warehouses, and so on, mostly are LT consumers. Now, the electricity supply company is supposed to make the supply as per the regulation 14, 15, and 16. Now, if we go through this regulation 14, 15, 16, the regulation says earthed or earthed neutral conductor. Then again, 15, you have to identify the earthed or the earthed neutral conductor. No cutout and link shall be used in the earthed or the earthed neutral conductor. So, supplier shall provide and maintain the consumer premise, the consumers use a suitable earthed terminal. So, in several places, the regulation is saying about earthed conductor, earthed terminal. What is the meaning of it? The meaning is, you have a transformer. Imagine this is for public electricity distribution. The transformer is the source. You have the distribution, and finally you have the origin of installation. That means the point of commencement of supply. You can see a PE conductor. This is the earth wire starting from the transformer neutral up to every consumer premise. We are supposed to get a wire, the 5th wire. This is called as earthed conductor. That means the network is a TNS network, regulation 14, 15, and 16. The regulation also says earthed neutral conductor. What does it mean? Is a PEN conductor. That means at the consumer premise, see, there is I'm moving the cursor. You have to make a link and you have to make an earthed terminal. So basically, the regulation explains about a TNS network or a TNCS network. But if we look at really what is happening or how the electricity supply company supplies the electricity, we really find out the mistakes. Now, earthing at the distribution, in case of the neutral disconnection, regulation 41.1. For 3-phase consumers, more than 250 volt earth electrode by the consumer, regulation number 16. Indication of permanent nature, regulation 15. No cutout or link at the earthed or earthed neutral conductor, regulation 15. Regulation 33 says insulation resistance test. Before the electricity supply company provide the electricity to a consumer premise, they are supposed to measure the insulation resistance, and the regulation 31. Sub-regulation 1 says the periodic testing every 5 years are also necessary. So basically, a consumer who is getting low voltage electricity from the electricity supply company, the electricity supply company is supposed to ensure that all these regulations are the mandatory safety requirements they are supposed to follow. But if we analyze, now for this particular purpose, here I am showing you a kind of a meter board where between the neutral and earth a link is made. Sometimes this creates a confusion. How to handle that confusion? The IS code of practice, IS 732, for example, figure number 61, this part of the IS code explains how to make the meter board for a low voltage consumer. If you are getting an earthed neutral conductor from the electricity supplier's premise, how to make the earthing at the consumer premise, how to make the earthen terminal. These are very well explained. I just put those figures in a color format. What I have done is I have prepared 2 documents with these figures, which will be circulated to you probably by the end of the presentation. We will put it in the chat box so that you will get it. Now, the REC standard, REC stands for Rural Electrification Corporation, REC, because most of the, one moment please. REC is a very important organization, and the REC, most of the electrification for rural areas are made based on the REC documents. I am showing you pictures from the REC document, how to make a meter board. Now, if we look at all these drawings, again, another meter board for a single phase consumer, another meter board. These are very well documented in the REC documents. Now, if we analyze all these documents, it is very clearly and very explicitly it has written that the energy supplier, that means the electricity utility company, is supposed to provide either TNS supply or TNCS supply for a low voltage consumer. So that means the supply is something like this. First figure, look at the first figure. This is called as a TNS network. What does it mean is the energy supplier is supposed to give an earth terminal, earth wire as well. But practically, what do? They don't give this wire. They don't make this link. So earlier there was a small link. The small link, you see, it is a small piece of wire, probably 2-inch wire. This 2-inch wire, 4 square mm 2-inch or maybe 3-4 inch wire is actually playing a major role in safety. If you remove the link, fault current will not return back to the source. As a result, your MCB will not trip. If you have this particular link, I am showing you this particular small piece of wire, this link. If you have this link, the fault current will easily return back to the source. As a result, the MCB will trip or the fuse will trip. That is what is explained in all the technical documents, all the regulations. But unfortunately, our electricity supply companies don't make this piece of wire. Probably, the cost of this wire is a few peanuts. And this missing link or this peanuts is costing so much. This is one of the major reason for fire. So the electricity supply company is completely violating the regulations 14, 15, 16. This is one of the major reasons for fire accidents in low voltage consumer premise, such as small houses, small shops, SSI units, and so on. And all of you know very well that people are dying due to these violations. A lot of people are dying, plus property damage. I know in some places, there are some streets in the country, those who are notorious for fire. Every year, at least 2 times fire happens, and people are dying, and properties are getting lost. And always it's a big headache for the fire fighting department, fire and safety department. It's a big headache. Not for the electrical engineering department or not for the electricity distribution company. It's always the headache for the fire department. So I would recommend that the fire departments, they can very well case, ideally these violations shall be treated as a criminal offense by the management of the supply company. I repeat this wording again. Ideally, these violations of the regulation, violation of the standards shall be treated as a criminal offense by the management of the supply company. Why the management of the supply company? Because these are policy matters. Most of the time, what do? They put the blame on the last lineman and they escape. This is wrong. The management of the supply company shall be put under, for this violation. If one or two cases, if somebody can take a few cases for this violation, definitely improvements are possible, because we don't have the habit of foreseeing the problem and rectifying it. We will see only if there is a trouble. So if the management of the electricity supply company is taken some criminal offense against them, definitely our system will improve. Now coming to the industrial installation. That means the installation which is having a high voltage supply up to the point of commencement of supply, or high-rise buildings, hospitals, hotels, industries. In those buildings, the regulation 12 of the measures relating to safety and electric supply applies. So what the regulation says is you are supposed to go as per NEC of India or the code of practice. Basically, as I said, the worldwide, the wiring rules are from the IC 60364. The Americans follow it, Britishers follow it, Germans follow it, French people follow it, all over Europe they follow it, and the equivalent standard or code of practice in India is called as IS 732 and the National Electrical Code of India. So basically, every electrical installation, that means for a HT consumer or for places where you have your own transformer, the entire electrical installation within our building is supposed to follow the NEC of India and IS 732. When this regulation came 50, 60 years back. These code of practices are also in practice for the last 50, 60 years. We can just look at some of the points from these regulations or from these code of practices just to find out whether we follow the code of practices properly. Before that, I'm just showing you a picture, a video from the hospital, from the ICU of one of the hospital. You should understand that the people, those who are working, they identified some problem and they started running. They are disconnecting the electrical items. This video, of course, is available in the YouTube. I downloaded it from the Times of India. So you see, within few seconds, fire starts from an electrical apparatus where they have shown this red color circle. Fire starts, and within few seconds, probably 1 minute or a little bit more than 1 minute, this entire area had become dark. It is filled with smoke. Once when the area is filled with smoke, you forget the rescue operations, the rescue and things will not work. Now, if your electrical installation is conforming to the IS 732 or these code of practices, I can tell you 100% such incidents will not happen, or probably very, very minimum. Such incidents cannot happen because you have a faulty equipment. The fire started from the faulty equipment. Now, all these reports, I was just following for the hospital fire accidents, and I was just trying to follow the reports. Most of the reports says that it is due to overload, because the hospital, the number of beds are only 25, but 50 people are admitted. Every electrical apparatus is overloaded, and the fire had started because of overload. According to me, this is a wrong statement, because in our electrical system, we are using so many protective devices, not one protective device, so many protective devices. Starting from the transformer, you have the main distribution board, incoming and each outgoing has got protective device. You have the sub distribution board, incoming and each outgoing has got protective device. You have the final distribution board, incoming and outgoings. You have so many protective devices. The question is why these devices are not tripping. One of the fundamental phenomena or one of the fundamental principle adopted in electrical fire or fire due to short circuit is any electrical apparatus which is having a power, consumed power less than 15 watts, is not supposed to ignite fire. Or any fault, if it is reduced to less than 15 watts within 3 seconds, the electrical installation cannot ignite fire. So with this principle, very simple to conclude that if this MCB trip within 3 seconds, the problem has gone. There is no problem. There is no fire in that particular installation. This is the basics of the electrical safety rules. Based on that, the IS 732 and the National Electrical Code is made. And if in a properly designed, erected, and tested installation during overload, the protective device should trip. It cannot catch fire. So, for example, in that case, instead of 25 patients, how to handle 50 patients? Of course, then you have to make additional wiring. You have to take care of, or you have to change the wiring, or you have to put additional wires and you have to take it. People shall not die due to such accidents is the point. Now, across India, one of the culprit which is creating fire is the copper wire. Copper wire manufacturers always come with the word electrical safety. They use the word electrical safety as a marketing tool. They always come with the electrical safety, saying that I have FR cable, FRLS cable, low smoke cable, and so many technical things. Actually, these are related to the insulation of the wire. What is important for electrical safety is how much heat is produced in the wire. Now, so many calculations are involved here. Several calculations are applicable here. All the calculations in the standard are considering copper conductor with class 2 copper, whereas in India, we always use copper conductor with class 5 copper. Class 5 copper has got 8% higher resistance. 8% higher resistance means 8% higher heat in a single phase circuit, 16% higher heat inside a conduit. The chance of getting fire from these wires are much more. So one of my requests which I always make is, please don't use copper wires with class 5 copper conductor. You must use copper wires with class 2 conductor for any wiring inside a building, be it residential or industrial or commercial or whatever. One of the subject which is very much important is the disconnection time. Disconnection time, say for example, in case of a fault of negligible impedance, as I told you, if you are able to disconnect the faulty circuit within 3 seconds, the chance of fire is zero, almost zero. The electrical items are not supposed to ignite fire if the fault is cleared within 3 seconds. Now, if we look at the wiring standard, IS 732, for example, these are the maximum allowed disconnection time in case of a fault of negligible impedance. It is not even 0.3 seconds. It is just 0.4 seconds, 0.4 seconds. That means in case of any fault in your electrical installation, in order to provide shock protection, in order to provide fire, avoid fire, the MCB is supposed to trip within this particular time. And every electrical installation, while designing, you are supposed to take care of it. For that, the subject called system earthing plays a major role. System earthing classified into TNC, TNS, TNCS, TT, and IT. These are very much explained in the Indian standards and the National Electrical Code. But here, one of the culprit which I always fight against is called as the 2 for neutral, 2 for body. There is nothing called 2 for neutral, 2 for body. It's a total mistake. It is nowhere written or included in any standard or regulation. It's a total misinterpretation. Because of this reason, we completely do our electrical installation in a wrong way. In industrial system nowadays, clean earth, power earth, lightning protection, separate earth electrodes. This is also wrong, a big mistake. In some of the modern buildings, you put a lot of earth electrodes in soil outside the building. Example, 30 earth electrodes outside the building, and you interconnect everything under the soil, something like this. This is also wrong. One of my method to find out whether the building is electrically safe or not is just walk around the building, count the number of earth electrodes. If so many earth electrodes are there, it is an indication that the building doesn't have any electrical safety measure. So more number of earth electrodes is more problem. You are actually violating the entire rules and regulation. Now, coming to the IS 3043, which is called as the code of practice of earthing, the figure number 38 to 41 very clearly explains how to make earthing. So you must interconnect every exposed and extraneous conductive part to a earth bus bar, not to the earth electrode. Similarly, another subject which we need a lot of attention is the subject called fault loop impedance. Fault loop impedance means the impedance of the circuit which is deciding the disconnection time of the protective device. If we don't follow the fault loop impedance, or if we don't test it, technically speaking, the standards, the code of practice IS 732 and IS 3043 recommends to calculate the fault loop impedance during the design, to test it during the erection and commissioning, to periodically check it for safe disconnection. The periodicity is also there. For example, regulation 30 part 1 says every 5 years. Then the first job of the electrical safety officer while doing a safety audit, he must do this particular testing and he must ensure that your MCBs are able to trip. Unfortunately, I am yet to see a building where these tests are carried out properly. Another subject, I can put to you probably 50 different subjects, safety related subjects, which are not followed in India, but I don't want to make it too long. One of the subject is called as protective equipotential bonding. In order to avoid shock and spark inside a building, every metallic object of the building must be interconnected in such a way that the voltage appearing between simultaneously accessible metallic parts must be lesser than 50 volt. Luckily, this clause has been, people started including this one line, touch voltage shall be lesser than 50 volt in a lot of tenders. I have seen these specifications in some of the modern tenders. Anyway, it is a mandatory requirement. Every metallic object in your building, such as the metal pipe, the structural steel materials, the aluminum facade, and everything must be interconnected in a typical fashion. The whole story of earthing is how you are making this interconnection. Earthing has very little to do with the earth electrode in soil. The last part, inspection and testing. The IS 732 1989, 32 years back, has included inspection and testing in the standard. There are 18 points to be inspected, starting from the method of protection against electric shock, means how you are, what is your idea, how the designer has designed the electrical system to handle the shock, handle the fire, and so on. Similarly, there are 10 different subjects for testing. Resistance of conductors means if you do this particular test, all the loose contacts can be found out. As Santosh sir told, a lot of cases, the fire accidents are starting from the loose connections. So if you test as per this particular recommendation, resistance of conductor, in case of loose contact, or sometime the loose contacts are inside the conduit, you may not be able to physically see it. But if you do this particular test, you can very easily find out the loose contacts. Insulation resistance of SCLV, PELV, floor and wall resistance. The test number 4 is for reducing the shock hazard in a building. Test number 6, effectiveness of automatic disconnection of supply. And there are 10 different testings which is included in the IS 732. Now, what others are doing, foreign countries. On the right side, I have put 11 tests. There are 10 tests. And there is one more test, the test called as PAT. What does it mean? Now, the idea is, the concept is, by doing this inspection and these 10 tests, you are sure that your building is very safe. Your electrical wiring is very safe. Up to your socket, things are absolutely safe. But tomorrow, if somebody connect a faulty equipment, again, the faulty equipment probably can create a fire. So how to find it out is the subject called PAT, Portable Appliance Test. In Europe and America, this test is also made mandatory. Say, for example, there is an apartment. The apartment, the electrical wiring is very well done, completely done. I will say an example. One of the leading builder in Bombay, for their high-rise building, they are implementing this particular thing. So the wiring is perfect, but now the builder is also giving a service to their the apartment owners. What they do is they will provide two PAT testing instruments. Two PAT meters are put on their common facility or the electrician's facility. So when a new somebody, a newcomer or a new owner occupies the building, the electrician go there and test all his equipment with PAT tester. As a result, the builder ensures that not only the building but the connected electrical apparatuses are also safe. So these people started doing. One of the example is I would say this one of the building which is coming up, or few of the buildings of Birla Estates. They were doing such safety things. So of course, if there is an awareness, people are ready to do that. But the awareness is the biggest question, and misguiding the things. I have seen in a lot of hospitals. Hospitals are doing thermography, thinking that by doing thermography, you achieve all electrical safety. This is actually a misguided point. Thermography can see only whether any loose contacts or overcurrent is there. It doesn't ensure any safety from electrical fault. In fact, thermography is not a recognized test in the IEC 60364 other than solar PV. For low voltage installation, of course, solar PV, yes, but other than solar PV, thermography is not a recognized test, even in the Indian standard IS 732 or NEC. So by doing thermography, don't expect that you get all safety things. Why I am showing this picture again is some of the builders, some of the high-rise buildings in Bombay, they started doing thermography because they think that by doing thermography, everything becomes normal, or everything, you can find out the loose contacts. This is what they think. Absolutely no. Most of the time, the fault is happening, the current is flowing through the earth wire, which is normally a dead wire. With the thermography, you cannot find out the heat produced in a dead wire because it's dead. So this will actually misguide you. Please don't do it. Before that, you do all the 10 tests as per the IS 732, and probably after that, you do as an additional safety thing. So for finding out the loose contacts, you should do the test number 1 in the IS 732 or test number 2, fault loop impedance. If you do these two tests, all the loose contacts can be found out. So I have made, during this COVID time, I visited a lot of hospitals, and I was asking the engineers in the hospital, have you conducted the test fault loop impedance or MCB tripping? The answer which I got is almost 0%. Nobody knows this particular test. So the reason is people are not aware. Now, in the new upcoming National Electrical Code, we also included this particular table. This particular table explains you the periodic testing, how periodically the recommended periodic testing in case of large buildings. So this particular table, we tried to coordinate with the table 7 of National Building Code, buildings classification, category of the building, group A up to group J building. Then a little bit explanation, and the height of the building, less than 15 meters, more than 15 meters, and the periodicity, or how periodically you must do the testing, is also included. Now, actually, by doing these the points some of the points which I explained, a normal electrical installation is safe. Now, in a normal electrical installation in a building, we have special locations. Special location means, example, bathroom in a house. Bathroom is a wet area. The chance of getting shock is much more. Near swimming pool, the chance of shock is much more. Solar PV is a special item. Rooftop solar PV is a special thing. Hospitals, group 1 and group 2 medical locations are special. Electric EV charging is special. Extra low voltage is special. Exhibitions, shows, and stands. All these are considered as special installation. These special installation require additional safety measures. How to do it? For example, a medical environment, a group 1 or group 2 medical location. A group 1 or group 2 medical location, you have medical electricals and electrical equipment and medical electrical system. Medical electrical equipment and medical electrical system. What do you do for this particular area? First, you should make a risk assessment, because this particular area, this particular, for example, the operation theater, it's an oxygen enriched area. The amount of oxygen is very high. Chance of getting, even a small spark, which can become a major fire, is much more. So also a lot of chemicals are contaminated, or chemical contents are there in that particular area. A lot of different kind of risks are there in that particular area. The first point is you should make a risk assessment as per the ISO 14971. And you have to find out what kind of safety measures you may need to implement in case of any problem. It can be electrical problem or chemical problem, or some other things. So the risk assessment is mandatory. I'm telling you, these are actually followed internationally very well. And all the medical electrical equipment and medical electrical system must conform to the IEC standard 60601. Actually, there is an equivalent Indian standard, IS 13450 part 1 2018. So every electrical item must follow this, or the electrical equipment, medical electrical equipment, or medical electrical system must satisfy this particular standard. Number 3, when you buy a medical electrical equipment or a medical electrical system, and if you install it in your operation theater, after the installation or during commissioning, during periodic test, and after any repair, you are supposed to do a test as per IEC 62353. These 3 things are actually mandatory in a medical location. But of course, there are medical, in medical location, there is an, OT panel. People call it as OT panel. The OT panel in some of the hospitals, these are implemented, but don't think that this is the only recommendation. No, as I said in the previous slide, there are 3 different things. OT panel is required, plus you need to have supplementary equipotential bonding, means the measures to reduce the touch voltage, maximum 25 volt is necessary, because hospital is a wet location. Also, this location require additional test in the sense there are 10 tests specified in IS 732. There is an IS standard called IS 17512, which explains this particular subject, how to make additional test in a hospital location or a medical location. So all these things are mandatory. But to tell you the truth, I have these 3 things: the risk assessment, a medical location where the risk assessment is made, where all the medical electrical equipment are conforming to the IS code or the IEC standard, plus tested as per this IEC standard, is really rare. It's the rarest in our country, unfortunately. So what I wanted to conclude is, if an electrical installation can, if we can make an electrical installation protected against overload, that means the selection of the protective device and the conductors must be handled very precisely. There are a lot of rules and regulations to be followed. Not only rules and regulations, lot of technical points you are supposed to take care. Number 2, disconnection time. Number 3, system earthing. Number 4, fault loop impedance. Number 5, protective equipotential bonding. Number 6, protective conductor current. Number 7, installation category or over voltage category. Number 8, TOVs. Number 9, inspection. Number 10, testing, periodic testing, special location. If we are able to take care of all these 12 points, plus the additional points, such as, in medical location, the risk assessment and all these things, we can get an electrical installation where the chance of fire from electricity can be almost nullified. The chance of fire is nullified in the sense that there is no chance of fire. In case of any problem, your MCB trips. And in case of a group 2, group 1 and group 2 medical location, IT system, MCB need not have to trip. You have a medical, insulation monitor. So without MCB tripping, you achieve safety. All these things are included in the rules and regulation. Now, we don't have the habit of foresee the issues and take proper actions. This is very much missing in India. One of the easiest solution, I will tell, to the fire department or the people those who are from the fire department. The Electricity Act 2003 empowers Central Electricity Authority to make the rules, and in case of any violation, some of the act says it's like a criminal offense. Now, the regulation 12 says your electrical installation must satisfy the code of practice of BIS or National Electrical Code. If the fire department can insist test report as per IS 732 or NEC of India for initial approval and renewal, I'm not saying the electrical approval, I am saying that the fire approval. If the fire department's document contains one line, submit the test report as per I'm sorry. Yeah, submit the test report as per IS 732, and if a perfect test report can be made, all the defects can be rectified, and this is a seal of assurance that the chance of fire is almost negligible. Now, if this is not done, in case if there is a fire accident in building, the current provisions of the rules and the act are saying that this is a criminal negligence, and you can take a kind of a criminal offense by the owners of this particular building. If you take a few cases, of course, people will be afraid, or you can force people to follow the most modern things. So one of the tricky way, or one of the easiest way to implement or to increase the safety in our buildings are do the inspection as per the NEC Part 1, Section 17 or the IS 732. You do the testing as per this particular standard and rectify all defects. Fire department can ask for this test report in critical buildings for fire license renewal, such as critical building. What I say is probably for the high-rise building, hospitals, and so on. If you do that, we can very much solve the problem of fire due to short circuit. By this, I would like to stop my presentation. Thank you very much. Over to you, Mr. Dominic.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Gopakumar. The last one, I like it, where you're asking fire department to insist for NEC report when they come for renewal. I think we have a lot of fire department heads in this webinar, and it's a good suggestion that while a building get into fire, so whether NEC test was done, when was it done, and what kind of rectification has been carried out. It's a very detailed presentation you have made, which actually in 45 minutes to cover the whole subject is not possible. So I once again appeal to Gopakumar, if we can structure into series 1, series 2, series 3, it will be wonderful for all the audience to get little in depth about it. And making buildings safe from electrical fire is very, very at most important. And you compared the rest of the country with India, the 790 electrocution, it is just a reported. If you look at unreported, it must be 10 times bigger. So to make our nation great, to make our country safe, so following electrical safety is most important. I also have an expert comment from our Santosh Warik to comment on the presentation. What do you think, sir, before I take up the questions?
It is well presented by Mr. Gopakumar, as always. He is authority, as holistically he present different grassroots level requirements of the codal requirements for better electrical safety in the building. And it is an eye-opener actually, the way we use to cut the corners and do the things at various places. Maybe the service provider, maybe the electricity suppliers, and maybe the internal electricians or the the issue is of Me Too products also. We are facing a lot of reason why we are facing this overloading issues, the electrical short circuit, failure of conductors, so which leads to electrical short circuit and electrical fires. So it's a very excellent presentation, and as suggested by Dominic, we request you to go occupancy wise for the better safety of the means electrical safety, right from hotels, hospitals, business buildings, and the residential ones also. So that would be a better approach for the learning point of view. So many questions are also there. So
Yeah.
I would request Dominic to
Yeah, I
take
think
it
it's
because
challenging. Let's cover as much as possible. Actually, this overloading subject came, after 2019, I would say, when the COVID really hit, and when everybody stayed in the home, and we knew how much, and hospitals and the hotels. So frequent fire started happening in many residences also because we were overloading the equipment. Overloading the entire electrical circuit. So now there's much awareness on why this overloading and why this electrical short circuit keep happening. So I'll start with the question, Gopakumar. I think this question is for Mr. Santosh Warik from Balam Murli. How can one identify an electrical fire is because of short circuit? What are the preliminary symptoms?
so normally electrical short circuit happened due to the, as already explained by Mr. Gopakumarji, it is due to the failure of the conductor. Resistance in the wiring, electrical wiring is the issue. The failure of conductor is the issue, and overheating and overloading, hotspots identification. These are the common reasons for electrical short circuit. And normally wherever electrical appliances are installed, adjacent to it, if the combustible material are stored, or normally in industries, it is a regular practice that the clothes are stored or the combustible papers are stored near the electrical panels, and that creates a problem. Temporary electrical connections also issue, wherein you have only one plug and you try to connect more appliances on it, which leads to the overheating, overloading, and failure of conductors, and lead to the electrical short circuit. So it's as it is a phenomenon which is continuously happening. You have to monitor the good practices, housekeeping in the each and every area, so that such means things should not happen. So electrical fires is a phenomena wherein source or sparking is happening through the electrical circuit, but adjoining fires means adjoining combustible area leads to the means flammability of the material, and the fire starts.
Sir, I have request to Ishwar Iyer on the chat box, long questions, and many questions are on the chat box because this chat box doesn't come on record. So I would request you to just post. If you look down on the screen, there is a Q&A box. If you can just copy that and paste it in your question box, I can take it up and it will be on record. And even if you're not able to attempt to take up your questions, Mr. Gopakumar off the line can answer your questions through email or something. So please try and post your questions only in the Q&A box, not on the chat box. Okay, I'll move on. Prakash, I would not like to take this question, but you're asking what are the qualification or the key points to start a career in electrical safety audit. I would like you to, write to, I have mentioned the email ID of Mr. Gopakumar. You can write to him. He will probably guide you to, how to start your career as an auditor. Pramod Dwivedi is asking, he's asking to share the PPT. Definitely, PPT will be shared to everyone. We know what are the preventive measures need to be followed by industries during reopening from COVID-19 lockdown to avoid fire accident. Please throw some light on this context. So we'd like to take these questions.
Yes, you see, as I said, there are these testings and the inspection part. We are supposed to any facility which is under closure for more than 6 months. The regulation 40 says we are supposed to do the retesting. The easiest way is to do some of the, not all the inspection and testing, but some of the inspection and testing points. If you do, in case of any trouble such as loose contacts and all, you can very easily find out. You have to make a small test, few of the tests. Example, fault loop impedance test. So worldwide, this is what is carried out. We need to have the practice of testing, but we don't do this particular test. Is the main point. Over to you, Mr.
Priya Patel is asking, can you share REC document? As I said, I will try to post it here on the box. If not, please write to me or Mr. Gopakumar. We'll share this REC document. Vinod is asking too many questions, so I'll pick out of 5. I think there are 6. My God. Okay. I'll pick one question, Vinod. Rest, we will try and answer you on offline. In case of electrical fire in our house or apartment or a colony, what are the safety action need to be taken at immediate point of time? Kindly share do's and don'ts of handling electrical fire in domestic area. I think this is also do's and don'ts. Is a big document. We have certain documents. We can share it to you off the line. And remember, if in case I forget, you can write to me. So I'll take Riaz Ahmed. Could you please put in some light on arc flash hazard in electrical installation? Over to Gopakumar.
Yeah, you see where people, those who are working in live conditions, example, you are opening an electrical panel and you are doing something, but in live condition. But of course, in live condition, you are not supposed to do such maintenance. But under certain condition, if you are doing a live maintenance, or if you are opening a panel board, your basic insulation is lost, there is a chance that people may get electrocuted, or in case of any fault, there can be an arc which is generated within this particular panel. So number one, you are supposed to wear the appropriate arc flash suit or the dress which is strong enough to handle the energy produced from that particular arc. That means we have to find out how much arc, how much energy can be produced from that particular location, and we have to take the preventive measures before working in live. So this is practically required in industries when you work with live conductors or in a live condition. Normally this is not necessary. However, for the low voltage purpose, arc flash hazard or arc flash studies are not yet, it is yet to be included in the IEC standard. The modern standards are saying that there is a device for smaller applications such as bedrooms and all. You are supposed to use AFDD, arc flash detection device. It looks like an MCB. In case of any arc, this device will trip.
Question from Bhushan. Gopakumar sir, for LT consumer premises, commercial or residential, we must follow NBC 26, isn't it? He's asking, should we follow NBC 16?
No, for LT consumer premise, it is, NBC is mostly related to the civil structure or the structural part of the particular building, or some of the electrical items which is becoming which is related to the civil structure is covered in the NBC. Not explicitly, all the points are not covered in the NBC. For example, lightning protection is very well covered in NBC because the modern method of lightning protection is to use the foundation steel. So after constructing a multi-storied building, you cannot really do lightning protection. So those things are included in the NBC. But for electrical system, you should refer NEC, National Electrical Code. There is an upcoming National Electrical Code which will be published probably in 3-4 months. So, or you can also refer the IS 732. Actually, this is what is written. This is the regulation also says you must follow NEC.
Sir, Gaurav Musale is asking which method used for zero resistance earthing.
Oh, I really don't understand what he meant by zero resistance earthing.
Okay, Gaurav, probably you can clarify a little later on his mail ID. I'm asking Lakshmi, who's assisting us, to just mention Gopkumar's mail ID so that he can clarify that later. I think Gopal Mishra ji is here. Hope it's same Dr. Gopal Mishra. Do we have any scope to improve the circuit design to avoid short circuit over and above what is prescribed today, including international best practices?
Sir, the international best practices are, as I said, it is already explaining 100 points. We are not even following 10. So first, let us follow at least 50 of the international, or let us follow the 100 points of the international best practice. Then we can think of additional things. Additional things are such as, you know, the arc flash study, or the thermography. I would say fundamental safety and additional safety. First, you do your fundamental safety, then you can do all the additional things. Our problem is our fundamental safety itself is missing. So even doing additional safety measures is of, I would say, not of any use. So first, the basics should be correct.
So you mean to say that we don't follow even 50% of the international codes on electrical?
Of course, yes, we are not following the. As I said, the IEC standard 60364, which is followed globally, all the countries. The equivalent is IS 732. 1989 of IS 732 has written 10 different testings to be done in an electrical installation before you put it into service. We are not even doing one.
Oh.
For example, in the new 2019 IS 732, earth electrode resistance, earth pit resistance measurement has been removed, because earth pit, be it 1 ohm or 100 ohm, it doesn't matter to safety. So that has been already removed. But still, the only test which we do is the earth pit resistance measurement. So I would say all the other 10 tests which is mandatory is not done. So yes,
Very surprised. There is probably high opener for most of us that we don't even follow, even 10% of the international standard. I think we know there are a lot of questions. I think most of your question is asking for detail of what precaution to be taken. Do we have a document? I think most of the question that you asked, we have certain document that we can provide. Once again, I request you to write a mail to us. We'll provide you those do's and don'ts for battery.
Actually, Mr. Dominic, I was just looking at one of the question of Mr. Vinod. He says, what safety precautions shall we follow for inverters and batteries in domestic house? Yeah, this is actually, a lot of fire accidents, plus even I'm sure you must have seen the fire in the Prime Minister's security office 2-3 years back. That was from an inverter. So plus these inverters are creating, backfeeding the power to the electricity supply, and the linemen, those who are working on the roadside, the overhead line, they are also getting electrocuted. So the code of practice says if you use an inverter, the phase and the neutral, both must be isolated. In the sense, you have to have a two-pole separation of the inverter circuit and the neutral circuit, or inverter circuit and the main circuit. But what we follow across India is we use the common neutral system. That means the neutral conductor, which is used for the entire electrical system, is shared for the purpose of inverter. As a result, backfeeding happens. As a result, fire happens. As a result, electrocution happens. This is included in the IS 732 with the pictures, and it has very clearly written not to use those inverters. But so that means you are supposed to use an inverter which isolates a line and neutral. Unfortunately, that kind of an inverter is not available in India.
Sir, Gopal Mishra ji again is asking, is the problem today is more of management issue than the design?
I would say both. Actually, management in the sense, I know a lot of places where plumbing engineers are designing electrical system, because things have gone to that easy. People think that electrical system anybody can do. That kind of an attitude. So the real seriousness is really missing. You know why the seriousness is missing? Because the awareness is quite poor. Most of the engineers, the safety engineers working in the field, they even doesn't heard of this 10 testings which is written in the standard in 1989. So the managements are not aware. As a result, everybody, there is the common thinking is, electrical system is quite easy. You have two wires, and if the current comes, everything is okay. And the size of the wire shall be enough to carry that particular current. This is the mentality. So as a result, safety is not at all taken care. So our management, from the management, including the designers, the way of thinking should change. Now, if we advise them to think, if we advise them to change, of course, nobody will change. But if the fire department can take action, 2 or 3 cases, automatically the system will improve.
Sir, Riaz Ahmed is asking, what are the contribution of harmonics in electrical fire hazard? How to address?
Yeah, it is not much as we presume. What is required is if the third harmonic or if the harmonics is higher in the neutral conductor, if the conductors are overloaded, the protective devices are supposed to disconnect. That means more than certain higher harmonics, you are not supposed to use the circuit. Let's say, for example, the neutral conductor in normal condition, it can carry, in the last circuit I am saying, it can carry 100% of the current. But in certain application, the neutral current will be much higher. In that case, you are supposed to put additional conductor. You can double the size of the neutral conductor, but that is not the solution. The solution which is recommended and followed internationally is neutral overloading must be identified and the phase conductors must be disconnected. So that means the neutral current must be measured and the phase conductors must be disconnected. This is the only method. Otherwise, harmonics are not the main reason for fire hazard.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we will be sharing this entire video recording to all the people who have registered. We have almost now 1,175. So recording will be shared. The PPT will not be individually shared because we have a recording which you can go through it again and again. And later, if you have any questions, you can either write to me or Mr. Gopakumar. I'll move on to Mohan Munawar. Can breaker coordination study help in reducing fire in electric sources?
No, that is not the only point. It is one of the 10 tests, I would say. Balance 9 is also required.
Mm-hmm. I don't know what Rajesh Patel is trying to put here, whether PIL can help fire department. What is Santosh sir? What is asking PIL? Is it filing a PIL will help the department, or is it an electrical word called PIL?
It must be public interest litigation only.
Public litigation. Of course, public litigation is what moves many things in the country. So you feel that any of the building is not following certain, electrical safety or fire safety, PIL definitely will help. Sanjay Mulay, in industry, which system earthing, TT or TNS to be done?
It is TNS with the additional safety features. The Indian code IS 3043 says TNS with the additional fault return path. So for an efficient disconnection of the fault. So it's TNS. Over to you, Mr.
Tanmay is asking a very interesting question. Can we, as electrical contractors, add the missing link between the pen and the consumer earthing?
Yeah, I have posted a PDF file in the chat box. I will post it again. If Ms. Lakshmi is having that particular file, please post it again.
I have it. I don't know. I could do that. I'll try at the end. I will post it in the chat box before we leave the seminar. I'll post and people can just download. I don't know whether it can be downloaded from the chat box. If you're not yet, please write to us. We'll definitely share that. Sanjay,
So,
once again, Sanjay, in TNS, cost of earthing goes up in industry, while in TT, we need to go for earth leakage protection required. He's giving an answer.
Yeah. What he is saying is to reduce the cost, TT can be done or not. Of course, in an industrial system, if you go for a TT, actually your machines cannot work. Because if you go for a TT system, you are supposed to use a 30 milliampere RCD, and this RCD will create nuisance tripping. So even if you have a small electrical apparatus, TT is not workable. That is why TNS is the recognized practice. Also,
Okay.
if you have solar PV, rooftop solar PV, TNS is the best.
Oh, thank you, Lakshmi. That I can see in chat box, you have uploaded the PDF document, part 1, part 2, which our participants can download from the chat box. It's a quite interesting article there. And Rajamani, do you conduct any audit and give recommendations for electrical safety to improve? Yes, of course, Mr. Gopakumar do that. I audit and give recommendation. Is it not, sir?
Yes, of course. So we are doing a lot. We are doing a lot of audits, and actually this was not our business, but because of my classes, I'm doing this IS classes on the modern safety measures for the last 5-6 years. A lot of people started asking, and now we started doing, but most of our audits are, explaining the user how he has to do the audit. So basically,
train the teacher, train the teacher, something.
Yes. Because, this is not one test or one system. There are 10 tests and 18 inspection points. Now we have developed a software which is under testing. Probably in a month time, we are actually wanted to put this software into service on our 25th year, February. We have developed a beautiful software with all my knowledge, whatever I know, plus the support from some of the IEC members where I am participating. So this software, if you go step by step, you will be able to fulfill the requirements of the standard. Otherwise, making the whole test, if you don't know, it will be a very difficult task. So this tool will help you. Very soon we will do it, and it's free, so people can log in and you can start doing it.
Oh, that's a wonderful news, sir. Sir, Bhaktavatsala Umapati is suggesting kindly discuss on electrical flash over due to low voltage and high voltage faults and required safety standards. So we require a dedicated in-depth webinar, I think.
Mr. Bhaktavatsala sir, actually this it is a subject where we need to talk at least 2 hours. So this is a deep subject. Of course, from the electricity safety point of view, any fault on the high voltage system shall not create a shock or a fire hazard inside the building. For that, the electricity supply company has to take care. If you have LT line, if you are a high voltage customer, you have to take care of it yourselves. The maximum allowed voltages are 1200 volt at the low voltage installation for 5 seconds in case of a fault on the high voltage side. More voltages are not allowed. But as I said, this is a big subject. We are actually under a campaign supported by BIS and CEA. We are doing a campaign called Vidyut Surakshit Bharat Abhiyan. A lot of training classes we are doing. These are actually 8 hours or 12 hours class. So in those classes, we are explaining those subjects. I would recommend that you please try to attend those classes to have an in-depth, deep knowledge on that.
So
in last after this COVID, I have conducted almost 752 hours class on various subjects.
So send us some link where we can send out to all the participants or people who are registered to attend this class. So if there is a method for them to register and attend, it would be wonderful. So we can share that to people who are in this forum. Again, Pramod Dwivedi is asking, kindly share testing equipment's name by which we can do testing and verification of tests and its sequences.
Yeah, actually, all the tests, there is no equipment which is available which can do all the tests. Of course, I think some of the modern test instruments you can do all the tests, but for a small house, there are it is available with companies like Fluke. Then some of the international companies they have got it. So far, I think no Indian company is making it. Probably in near future it will come. So, for example, you can Google installation tester. So the simple name is installation tester. Means a tester, a meter which can test all the electrical parameters in an installation. It's not a multimeter. Please understand.
Rajamani is asking: is there any such thing that the earth electrodes erected as lifetime, particularly chemical earthing for BE?
Actually, there is nothing called a chemical earthing. It's a beautiful marketing word, an attractive marketing word where people are running behind. Earthing has nothing to do with the earth pit in soil inside your building. How beautifully you are making interconnection between different metallic objects is earthing.
What are the type? Tirumala Rao is asking what type of earthing is required for transformer?
Actually, we cannot take a standalone transformer. A transformer up to the last socket, TNS. We are supposed to follow TNS. You can refer the document which we have shared just now. The details are included in these two documents. Please go through it.
I think Prakash Kamath is recommending to Santosh Warik, who is an authority in Maharashtra. Why not make electrical audit compulsory instead of recommending? Licenses should be issued to electrical auditor and listed on portal just as a fire protection agency. Though it is not your department, but is recommend. Good idea, good suggestion.
Yeah, good suggestion, but it is a central regulation and state do not have any powers to create or recommend something in the amendment of the act or the rules. So it has to be drawn from the central act and rules itself. If they have got some provision related to audit and the frequency of audit, then only it is possible to implement it. At present, it is the owner or occupier's will. For the better safety, they carry out such type of audits. For normal things, only the certificate issued by the PWD electrical license contractor certifying that all the electrical systems are checked by him and it is found in a good working condition. So that single certification is taken by the fire authorities and the renewals are granted. So unfortunately, there is no check on the qualification of that tester and really whether he has gone through the different load criteria and the safety protection requirements installed in the electrical circuit. So that one has to really a separate checklist should be there properly from right from the transformer to the up to MCBs. So all check should be there and it should be certified by him whenever periodical after every year or twice in a year depending upon the crucialness of the installation. So that should be there. So it is a well suggestion. I think Gopakumar can add on it.
Yeah. So I would like to add a little bit. The regulation 5A 2015 amendment has included chartered electrical safety engineer. The state government is supposed to appoint chartered electrical safety engineer. That means the electrical inspectorate is supposed to qualify people or list the people. In Maharashtra, the electrical inspectorate has conducted the training or the test, I think, during last December, and out of 230 people, 5 has passed. I think the result has come yesterday or day before yesterday. One of my friend also got qualified. He is working in Cummins, so he is an active member in one of our WhatsApp group. So it is going to come. So every state government is supposed to make this chartered electrical safety engineer, but unfortunately only 3 or 4 states had done that. Almost 6 years back, the regulation has come. We are yet to implement it.
Sir, Dr. Gopal Mishra ji is asking very important question. He's saying fire department. You know that every fire department in the country is a state and sometimes municipal corporation handles the fire department. Fire department comes once in 3 or 4 years, for 5 years for renewal. How should ensure safety in between? What is the responsibility of electrical department then? So in between these 3 and 5 years, how do you ensure electrical systems are perfect? Because fire department sometimes comes, sometimes doesn't come. Is it?
I think
Yeah.
answer is already given by Mr. Gopakumar. Already there is a provision in the act itself. So state has to implement it, because fire officers are not the qualified for the electrical safety point of view. So we need some certifying agency, either third party or from the government side, who can really certify the system and on which we can rely upon. And it is for the everything, means electricity is required for the means fire systems also, fire hydrants, sprinklers, then for the lifts also, for HVAC also, and for other services also. So from all these aspects, considering all these loads, one has to really check the system. Otherwise, only up to the transformer level, if somebody is certifying, then it is of no use. So this question is very valid from the holistically, right from your transformer to the end instrument level. It should be checked and certified by some responsible person. Qualified person also. Responsible plus qualified. Yes.
Very good answer, sir. So Yashwant Nalawade is asking, in electrical fire, how can we extinguish the fire? Is there any chance of electrocute to the firemen even after disconnected the electric supply? So what is Santosh, sir?
Yes, normally after the protocol is to cut down the electricity in case of electrical appliances, then normally you can utilize water also. But in some cases, there is a issue of static electricity is there. So there is a possibility of, if you are utilizing the hard jet or solid jet on direct live appliances, then electrocution is a hazard for firemen. And we have to really, there are different methods. We can use the spray system, wherein you can avoid the solid jets, or you can use water mist kind of a spray for the to safeguard yourself from the electrocution.
Gokumar, you have some solution?
Yeah, actually every electrical apparatus which is having certain charge internally, for example, capacitor. Once when the supply is disconnected, this device is supposed to discharge the contained energy within certain time, within few seconds or within few minutes, the energy has to be made zero. But if these discharging things are not working, firefighting will be a real trouble. So this test, this is also one of the tests in the 10 tests which I have mentioned.
Right. So Sanjay Mulle is asking, in equipotential bonding checks, is there any value of resistance to be followed? Is there any table in IS or IEC standards?
Of course, yes. A lot of places this is very much important. Say, for example, in a hospital, between two metallic items or between two biomedical equipment, the maximum resistance allowed is 200 milliohm. So like that, depends on application to application. It varies. So all the IS and IEC standards are mentioning these values.
So Tanpal is asking, how ELCB different from MCB, or both are same?
Both are different. ELCB is anyway, the word ELCB is no more valid because it has been replaced with a new name called the RCD, residual current device, RCCB. ELCBs are nowadays not used much except the CBCT phenomena. ELCB is protecting only against an earth fault, whereas MCB will protect you against overcurrent, short circuit, and earth fault in a TN network. So both devices are different.
So our friend Ishwar Iyer it's a long question. I think I need to read very carefully. During the last week of October last year, following the one Avigna Park fire, the BMC was urging housing society in the city to conduct electrical audit, given the fact that 70% of the fire incidents are due to electrical short circuit. Ms. Ashwini Bide, Additional Municipal Commissioner of BMC, informed the standing committee that BMC was in talks with the state government to develop regulatory mechanism for mandatory electrical safety audit and for Maharashtra Fire Safety Act to include provision for mandatory electrical audit. When can we expect the legislation to come into force? This question to Mr. Santosh Warik.
So, Dominic, already I have told you, the state government is looking after the fire subject as per the constitutional provision, and electricity is the central government subject. So whatever the already Mr. Gopal Kumar has highlighted, there is a provision made in the Electricity Act and rules itself for the conducting audits. So that can be taken, and already he has told that the state of Maharashtra has already conducted the examination and enlisted the fire safety auditors, not fire, but the safety auditors for it. As far as the Maharashtra Fire Act is concerned, as per the provisions of National Building Code, definitely we are considering the amendment for having the fire safety audit. But in that, electricity will not be there. It is only from the fire and life safety point of view for the every building, because electricity, lift, these are the all specialized subject, and there are separate statutes available to govern that. So we cannot encroach, or we cannot have the cross references of that provisions regulating the electricity in Fire Act. So that will be governed by respective electricity codes and the electricity acts and the rules of the state country.
Hope that answers, Ishwar, that clarifies your question. I'm moving on to Chaturvedi Narasimha Murthy. Sir is saying, we are providing 3 earth for distribution of transformer, one for relay, one for neutral, and a other for remaining points, and all are interconnected. Is it correct to connect the LA earth to interconnect with other electrodes?
Yeah, of course, it is correct, and it is mandatory. It is necessary in the future, especially up to 33 kV. Instead of connecting the lightning arrestor to an earth electrode and interconnecting all the earth electrodes under the soil, probably may not work. The transformer still will be at risk. So what you are supposed to do is you can connect the lightning arrestor earth bus bar directly to the tank of the transformer. This is already included in the IS standard, which is adopted from IEC, of course. So the amendment in the regulation probably will come very soon. For the other extra high voltage application, what you are saying is correct. So low voltage, we have to, up to 33 kV, we have to make a small change. Over to you, sir.
Sudhir Singh, is it possible to install PAT in existing electrical system of commercial building? If yes, then how?
Actually, this PAT is a portable device. It's like a device which you can carry in your suitcase. So if you have, for example, in Australia, what they do, if you buy a refrigerator, before putting the refrigerator into the socket, somebody will come with this tester, and he will put the refrigerator into the socket of this particular device, and he will run the test. The PAT instrument will give 2 stickers. One is green, you can connect your device. The next one is red. If it is red, you cannot connect that particular device into your socket. That is the system. PAT, actually, the question, if you are asking, it is a small instrument, like size of a suitcase.
It is a commercial building. It can do it for residential building. You're saying refrigerator connect or any large electrical appliance within the house also. I have not seen anybody before we plug the expensive appliance, we test with the PAT. Is it a common practice?
in Europe, Americas, and developed countries, yes, it's a common practice. Whereas normally, if you buy a new appliance, the itself will do the testing in front of you and he will give the certificate. The shops or the showrooms, they will do this testing. Whereas, the basic 10 testing itself is missing in India. So this is the 11th.
This is very important. I think that PAT test is very, very necessary because we don't know how the building thing and the supply. But when you such an expensive, like you buy a 65-inch TV, which costs a few lakhs, and before plug-in, if you have something, say green is okay, you can plug in. Red not okay to plug in. It saves the equipment. It saves lives also. I think 11th test is. I think you should push it to the third or fourth test. It's important to do that.
No. If the first 10 is missing, this 11th is of no use.
Absolutely.
You should do in a sequence.
I think for me, come from like the fire. So many. This subject seems to be so much ignorance, so much. I would say. We are neglecting such an important topic on awareness on basic fundamentals that on electrical safety. It's missing very much. Okay, we have FSA, FSIF, so many. We are talking about fundamentals on fire, but I don't see much with talking about fundamentals on electrical safety. I think we should do many more program. At least our fire fraternity people are, here majority are from the fire side. Whenever the safety word comes, all the fire experts and people are interested, they come. But I think we should do this very interesting subject continuously. The series 1, series 2. Even I am learning out of this session much. Rajumani, how to improve the earth conductivity in an already erected earth electrode where the resistance is raised. Any chemical treatment is required or change of electrode is required?
As I already explained, the earthing has very little to do with electrode in soil. That is why this testing itself is removed from the standard few decades back. You don't need to spend your time on this particular thing. If you look at the resistance of the earth electrode for a residential purpose, if you use a 30 milliampere RCD, the resistance can go up to 1666 ohms. So a resistance of 100 ohms or 200 ohms doesn't matter. So you don't need to spend a lot of time on this particular thing. Instead, you ensure that all the interconnections are made pakka, especially the metallic items such as metal pipe, firefighting pipe. Have anybody saw a metal firefighting pipe connected to the earth bus bar with maybe a small wire, 6 mm wire? Of course, no. So those things are actually required.
Okay, Thirumal Rao is asking, please share IEC standards related to industry. I think this should be available.
The highest standards are available. You can go to the sales portal of Bureau of Indian Standards and you can make your username, create username password and you can download that. Some of the standards you have to pay some little money. For example, the lightning protection standard, the original standard cost about 20,000 rupees. Whereas from the BAS website, you can buy it at 2,500 rupees.
Oh. Huge difference. Huh?
Yes.
So can you repeat that portal, sir, once again?
Sales portal, Bureau of Indian Standards. You can Google sales portal, Bureau of Indian Standards. Then you will get the link for that particular site.
Okay. Hope Thirumal Rao, it was useful answer to you. And Ram Pandey and Sukhada Pandey, like me, they're asking, give me more details of PAT.
PAT, the full form is Portable Appliance Test. The idea is you have the fixed part of your electrical installation. That means you have all the items which is permanently connected to your electrical installation. Now, the products or the electrical apparatus which you are going to put in a plug. Portable means it is a product which is movable. So whatever the products which you are using in your house, which is connected to a plug, you are supposed to do this particular test. So that's it.
Okay. So Pankaj is asking, why we use 24 volt, as it can also be source of ignitions or spark?
Yes, of course, 24 volt, if the current is high, of course, it can create a spark or it can create a fire. But generally for small application, it's not. As I said, a power source up to 15 watts is not supposed to create a fire accident. That means if the 24 volt supply, if the current in the electrical apparatus is lesser than, let us say, 0.5 amperes, the chance of fire is less. More than 0.5 ampere, of course, the chance of fire is there.
So Shankara Subramaniam is a very valuable suggestion. Why electrical appliance in India is not having any information on electrical operating duty, in bracket hours? I feel that overloading due to continuous operation is one of the cause of electrical fire. Public or the user should have the knowledge of the appliance duty and use it accordingly. Is it possible?
No, the electrical design standards for apparatuses ensure that the appliance, in case of any internal problem, especially the line to neutral or line to line problem, the appliance is not creating any fire. That particular test is already ensured, and each and every electrical apparatus is supposed to have internal protective device. That means in case of any faulty items inside, there is an overcurrent, the fuse is supposed to disconnect. Now, also as a result, in case of any fault, the electrical apparatus as such cannot ignite fire. That is ensured. If the product is ISI marked, then that is ensured. Now the problem is, imagine you have an air conditioner. The air conditioner, sometimes it starts fire. Why? Because sometimes the internal devices are not operating. Number two, if there is an earth fault in the air conditioner, the internal protective device are not supposed to, it will not work because earth fault disconnection is depending upon the external protective device. Imagine air conditioner, there is an earth fault and the external protective device didn't operate. Of course, there will be a fire accident. As I said, if the supply can be disconnected within 3 seconds, the chance of fire is absolutely nil. And the standard recommending disconnection time is 0.4 seconds. So, if these rules are followed properly, of course, electrical equipment cannot create fire.
So we have 90 questions. So I'm going to take only next 3 questions because time is 12:51. And 90 questions is, I think I've not come across so many questions in any webinar, which shows people are so eager to learn, eager to understand. One must appreciate that participants are quite eager to learn. So 90 questions, what we'll do is, after these 3 questions, so we will answer one by one offline to your mail ID. We will have your data and we'll take time and to answer to these 90 questions. So I'll just take Pranab, which I also find interesting. Hi, sir. Can we use AFDD with integrated RCBO for fire prevention in hospitals? I'll repeat, can we use the AFDD with integrated RCBO for fire prevention in hospitals?
You can use
what is AFDD, because I don't understand what is AFDD. Yeah.
AFDD stands for arc flash detection device. It looks like an MCB, a portable, a DIN rail mounted device. RCBO means a combination of residual current circuit breaker and the MCB. So the question is whether this device can be used in the hospital. Of course, you can use it, but if you use this in the operation theater or in such critical areas, the disconnection will create a problem. For example, imagine there is an operation going on. You have an UPS, you have an alternate UPS in case of trouble. You have a DG, maybe 2 DGs, and the backups are very good. But imagine in the distribution board, the MCB tripped. The patient will be in trouble because in a normal operation, heart operation, about 20 plus biomedical equipment are connected to the body of a patient. If the MCB trips and if there is no power to those equipment, then you can imagine what is going to happen. So for that particular application, disconnection is not the solution. Continuity of supply is the solution. So wherever you require continuity of supply, you are not supposed to use this combination. Wherever continuity of supply is not necessary, you can use this combination, AFDD with the integrated RCBO.
Sir, Tejas Yadav is asking a question to Mr. Santosh Warik. Sir, is it compulsory to follow CO2 flooding system in panels as per Electricity Act?
Electricity Act, in the panels, any extinguishing means system you can, because of the Kyoto Protocol, to reduce down the carbon footprints. Now we discourage CO2 flooding system. So alternatives are available for the total flooding system. So it is better to have an alternative adoption. There are tubing systems are also now installed, but unfortunately these are not the standard ones. These means Bureau of Indian Standard do not have any specific standard on this. So, but they are widely used in vehicles basically, and small confined electrical panels for the solution of total flooding. Aerosol is the another alternative which can be utilized as an alternative to the carbon CO2 flooding system. So aerosol system is widely used in major panel systems.
Okay, sir. Pujari is asking question which is relevant to today's situation. As the usage of inverter are enormously increased due to work from home for software professionals, online classes of students and all that, as the neutral of inverter are not being earthed at consumer end, due to this, is there any flow of written current through neutral to electricity board lines? Please explain.
Yes, of course. The neutral current may return back to the electricity board line, and which is creating electrocution. Actually, a lot of such accidents are happening across the country. It has nothing to do with, or it has not much to do with the neutral earthing at the consumer end. Actually, it has something to do with the isolation of phase and neutral. Actually, if you follow my this Facebook or the LinkedIn page, I am posting such answers for such questions quite frequently, because people used to ask questions, and these common questions, the relevant pictures with explanations, like the paper which I have just shared. So these are available. I can give to you. So you can also send me a message or an email so that I can forward this information to you.
So there are a lot of demand for your book, The Missing Link. I think Ishwar is GK's Gopakumar mail ID is very simple, gk@capeindia.net. So you can just write to him. Probably he will let you know the publisher or where this books is available. I'll take the last question. I don't know who's the lucky one to get this. Vinod, we answered many things. Okay, I'll take from Deepak Ghosh. I'm sure he's the Deputy CEO of Mumbai Fire Brigade. Last question from Deepak Ghosh. If testing as per NEC is not followed before electrical installation, how the installation is getting approved? Why not any action initiated? Who is the electrical authority or agency that monitors and responsible required to take action?
It is a very complicated question to answer because I work with a lot of electrical inspectors. So technically speaking, the electrical inspectorate of the state government are supposed to do it, but this is actually a flaw in our system. The electrical inspectorate's responsibility is up to or above the notified voltage. So there is a thing called a notified voltage. State to state, the notified voltage varies. So electrical inspector's responsibility is to look for the electrical application above the notified voltage, plus some additional things such as generators, because generators can backfeed the power and the people and the distribution can be killed, plus solar PV and some special things. So technically speaking, the low voltage electrical installation inside your building, no one is supposed to, legally there is no one to take care of it so far. As a solution, the 2015 Chartered Electrical Safety Engineer has been introduced in the regulation. Now, slowly implementing it. Probably it will come very soon. But here also there is a issue which I am foreseeing. Mostly, the electrical inspectorates are asking the Chartered Electrical Safety Engineer to study the regulation and write the question. Unfortunately, his job is to test the electrical installation which is inside the building. The regulations do not explain much about that particular part of the installation. So you should follow NEC and IS 732. If the test is conducted as per the NEC, National Electrical Code of India, and the IS 732, of course, by the Chartered Electrical Safety Engineer, then his certificate has to be submitted to the electricity supply company for getting the electricity supply. Once when this system is in place, a lot of improvement is possible.
We need to conclude. It's almost 2 hours time. I'm so happy that still participants are listening. And generally, when we conclude speaker PPT, it's all fizzle out. But this session I really enjoyed, and I really enjoyed the participants' active participation in asking questions. And I can see chat box still questions are coming. I think GK's mailbox will be fully flooded today. I think he will not be able to sleep today and tomorrow till you answer these questions. And a wonderful session, sir, and with great respect to our Santosh Warik, who always, there's no formal email I have to write to him to, generally people ask, send me a mail, let me check up my calendar, I will get back to you. But his person with one phone call, he says yes. So I am very humble with his simplicity and always ready to share knowledge along with other speaker. And as Gopakumar, you're doing a wonderful job, and there are a lot of indirect way you're contributing to nation building, I would say. And your sessions are always wonderful. And thank you so much. And today's session is supported by Fire Safe India Foundation, which is a society to create awareness on safeties and also makes various acts and standards available to the public. And the Forum of Critical Utility Services, where I deeply involved in it to bring in all the professionals from various critical services to come to one platform, because the building need to integrate all the services, whether electrical or air conditioning, plumbing, or fire, we all need to integrate, because to every building need to be smart and intelligent. So unless we all come together as professionals in one society, we cannot achieve this dream. So thank you very much. Thank you to FSIF. Thank you to Focus. Thank you to Maharashtra Fire Department. Thank you to Santosh Warik sir. And of course, Cape Electric and Gopakumar. We look forward to see you again in very soon. We'll come out with series, and I hope you all enjoyed. I will share this recording very soon by Monday or Tuesday. I'm sure the length of this video is 2 hours. It's like a movie that I need to create and republish. It takes time for me to edit and send it to you guys. So have a wonderful day. Stay safe. Don't be a victim to this, Omicron or COVID. I look forward to see you again very soon. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dominic.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye, sir. Bye,
Thank you very much, Mr. Gopakumar.
See you, sir. Bye, sir. Bye.